Wrong side. Lord. Lord. Hey, hey, hey. Damn, am I still bleeding? All right. Hey, y'all. Welcome to my channel. I just wanted to come on and have a chat with you guys and talk about a subject that most people don't talk about. Most people shy away from, right? You know? Life after divorce. Look at me. I'm crossing my arms. I'm uncomfortable, y'all. All right. So what does that look like? Life after divorce. What does that look like to you? I can only tell you what it looked like to me. How many of you guys that are going to come back and listen, how many of you guys have been divorced? If so, how many times? And how did you feel? Right? How did you feel when you got divorced? Did you feel like a failure? Did you feel like you let yourself down? Did you feel like you let your family down? Nobody talk about it. Have you healed? Are you healing? Are you bitter? Well, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. So first things first, why did you get married? Why did you get married in the first place? Not many people talk about that, right? I jotted some notes just because I kind of wanted to be a little bit more organized this time, since I wanted to talk about a topic that a serious topic, I'll say that. So I wrote some notes. So if you see me switching back and forth, I got some notes that I actually put up and typed out on my computer, and then I have some that I actually wrote out. Okay, so I'll be going back and forth. So if you see me kind of like looking down or looking like I'm reading, that's why. All right. So why did you get married in the first place? What was the reason? What was the reason? No, just play. What's the reason? Why'd you get married in the first place? Nobody get married just to get divorced, right? So what was your reason for getting married in the first place? Did you really love that person? Was that somebody that you felt like you was going to spend the rest of your life with? Or did you get married out of fear? Or did you get married because you were always told that you were supposed to get married, right? Especially women, it's pushed on us, you know. You're not a complete woman, or you're not a whole woman, or something must be wrong with you if you don't have children, or if you don't have a man, or if you're not married, right? Fuck a career. Your focus should be based on getting married and being a good housewife, right? But why did you get married in the first place? Was it because your family told you you had to? Or was it something you really wanted to do? Were you pressured? Ooh. Were you coerced? I know for me, why did I get married? Hmm. Hmm. I feel like for me, I kind of wanted to be married before 30. And I felt like pressure in doing that. Um, and then my circumstance, I just had my feelings hurt. And so for me, when I got into another relationship, it was two broken people coming together, right? Two broken people who hadn't healed, who came together and made a decision that, you know, they probably should have sat one. And that's what it was. Two people who probably shouldn't have been together, but probably would have been really good friends had they taken their time and just got to know each other. My marriage was quick. So, why did you get married? My marriage was quick. Like I said, I had just had my heart broken. I probably should have took the time to heal instead of jumping right back into another relationship, but I didn't. I didn't know anything about healing at that time, or even, I didn't know how to heal. It was never presented to me, or it was never like anything that I had heard of, healing from your past traumas. The fuck? In the Black community? Especially therapy. A lot of us in our community, we shy away from therapy, especially our Black men. But yeah, so that was why, I initially got married. Could it have worked? Yeah. Some people get married within so much time of knowing each other, and that shit lasts, right? Because people have arranged marriages all the time. There are some certain cultures that have arranged marriages, and it works. It works, right? So it could have worked. It didn't. I'm not upset at it. I'm not mad. I learned so much. The woman that came from the ending of that marriage, or even just through the experience of that marriage, is a motherfucker. Excuse my French. So I'm not disappointed. But yeah, it lasted for, I think, 2.5, 3 years. And then, we separated. And then I filed for divorce just to kind of like sever all ties. Not really, because, we have a child together. So, of course, we're going to be connected for the rest of our lives, even after our son is grown, because we share, a common love, right? But yeah. So, why did you get married? Why did you get married in the first place? Um, and why, why didn't it work? Could it have worked out for you? Right? And if it couldn't work out and you were unhappy, that don't make sense. Would you have stayed if you were unhappy? That makes sense. Excuse me while I drink some water. Just to not have gotten divorced. You could have. I mean, I wouldn't have, as evidenced by me being divorced. But would you have stayed if you could have? even if you were unhappy. Is that an option? Is that an option for you? It's not an option for me. I believe in being happy. I believe in doing exactly what makes you happy. I believe in peace. Everybody's situation is different. And mine was a little different. So I chose to divorce for many reasons. But if you had just grown apart, say if you and your significant other were married for years and you guys just grew apart, um, would you have stayed even if you were unhappy? And if so, why? Why would you stay? You know what I mean? If you're unhappy and you're miserable and this person don't fulfill you and things aren't working out and you're arguing every day, right? This don't even have to necessarily be marriage. So life after separation, life after, because many people are in relationships for years without even getting married. So let's just say life after separation as well. Separation can be from a significant other. Separation can be from friendships, right? So what does that life look like afterwards? You know what I mean? What does that look like for you? Do you stay in something that don't fulfill you? And if so, why? Why would you stay in something that don't fulfill you? And then another question I have is, would you get married again? I would. I plan on it. I'm not letting anything stop me from doing what I feel. I'm a wife. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a wife at heart. I'm a mother. I'm a homemaker. Now, don't get it twisted, because I know how to turn up with my girls. But I'm not one of them, serial daters. I'm not one of them, you know, jumping bed to bed kind of women. I am a wife. Always have been. Um, but would you get married again? I know, you know, I've heard people say, "Oh, I'll never get married again." But why? Why not? Why not? I had a lady just tell me the other day she would never get married again if she divorced her husband. If they got a divorce, that she would serial date. There's no fulfillment in that for me. Mm. So, would you get married again? And if so, why or why not? All right. So I wrote down some notes. Um, so we're gonna start at the top. What does life after divorce look for you? What does it look like for you? Are you taking this opportunity to just rediscover yourself? And if so, how are you doing that? Because life after divorce can be difficult. It can be challenging. It can be a transition that you didn't plan for, right? But it offers an opportunity for personal growth, healing, and rediscovery. Um, but I know that can be difficult, especially depending on like how long you've been married, how long you were married, if y'all share children, if y'all have businesses together, if y'all have assets together. Are those are those um are those reasons on why you would stay together? Or, you know, are you afraid of being alone? Are you afraid of being alone? And if so, why? Where does that come from? Where does that come from? So some things I want to talk about is the emotional recovery after divorce, right? After going through a divorce. Grieving the loss. You have to grieve the loss. What are you doing to heal? What are you doing to heal? Are you angry? Are you sad? Is there guilt? Is there regret? You know what I mean? Are you allowing yourself to feel the emotions, or are you suppressing them? Or can we talk about, are you self-soothing? Are you what is it? What is the word that I'm looking for? I don't know. Are you partaking in like activities that don't serve you just to cope? So like some people turn to alcohol. You know what I mean? Like some people turn to like drugs. Like, are you doing that? I've known people, to turn to both. So is that something that you're experiencing? Is that something that or are you turning to work, right? Are you a workaholic now because you just don't want to cope with the emotions? You have to take the time out to feel every single emotion. Allow yourself to be angry. Allow yourself to be sad. Cry. Let it out. I remember years ago when I got my heart broken, I remember I was driving to work and I would just bust out in tears. You know what I mean? Like I would cry. And there was like several instances that would happen, but it created a space of healing. You know what I mean? It allowed me to get it out, right? It allowed me to feel. It allowed me to grow. And even though that situation, like it took me years to kind of release what I needed to release and accept what I needed to accept and learn and accept the blessings out of that, because there were some good things that I was able to take with me, right? The gems that I talk about, I was able to take those with me, right? But yeah, it just created a space for me to grow. Every tear that I shed was used to water the seeds that had been planted in me. So, are you allowing yourself to feel those feelings? And then another thing I want to, talk about is the identity. Was your identity tied to your marriage? Was your identity tied to is your identity tied to being a wife? Is your identity tied to having a relationship? Is your identity tied to being a mother? Is your identity tied to these things outside of you? You know what I mean? Are you or do you know exactly who you are? Do you know exactly who you are? Do you know exactly what makes you happy or what makes you sad, or what makes you tick or makes you pissed? Or, you know what I mean? Or have you allowed your identity to be circled around, or, have you allowed the marriage to become your identity? Who are you? So life after divorce, you get an opportunity to rediscover who you are, to rediscover what you like or how much you have grown. Um, and to rediscover like dreams and what you want to do with your life, right? Because when you're married, there's nothing wrong with marriage, but when you're married, you have to consider the other person, right? You can't really make moves like you can if it was just you. unless you have somebody that's just a teammate, unless you have a teammate. And a lot of us are operating in our traumas and our fears and our abandonment issues. We don't have a teammate. We have codependencies, people that we are codependent on. You know what I mean? Which leads me back to, why did you get married? Why did you get married in the first place? You know, did this person make you feel good? Or did you really love that person, right? Did you really want to do forever with that person? Or was that just something that you latched onto, right? Like I shared in the beginning of this message, I got married for all the wrong reasons. It was somebody that I latched onto because I had just got my heart broken. We shouldn't have gotten married. We probably would have been the best of friends, right? So, you know, why did you get married? And how did that shape your identity? You know? And then emotionally, after divorce, what are you doing to recover? Right? I know for me, after I separated, because we didn't get divorced right away. We were separated. We were married for 3 years, 2.5, 3, I feel like. And then we separated. We were separated for like 3 before we actually got divorced. But I know initially after my marriage ended and we separated, in my church, we had a like a healing group called Healing Care. And it was like right on time for me. That jump started my healing journey and my healing process. I was already doing affirmations because I had an awareness, or I was beginning to become aware that I had some shit that was in me that was jacked up. So, you know, and I don't let me say this. We both played a part in our marriage failing. We both did. I was insecure because I had just had my heart broken. And, you know, he had his issues, right? So I take full responsibility for my part. He wasn't the blame for everything. But for me, because I had an awareness that I had abandonment issues from being a fatherless daughter. I had shit, if you ask me, I had mom issues too, right? But I also had insecurity issues. I had been cheated on before and just like other things. So I had an awareness that I needed to heal, that there were some things in me, even though I couldn't identify them, I couldn't put a name to them at that point. I knew that I needed to heal. There were some things that were in me that needed to come out, that needed to be uprooted. So Healing Care came right on time for me. It allowed me to identify the emotions that I was feeling, put a name to them. It allowed me to recognize and release what was not serving me. And although even after that, I hadn't gotten to the true releasing phase, I was going through the forgiving phase. Forgiveness takes time. You know what I mean? So, yeah, for me, I that Healing Care was what I needed. That jump started my healing journey, and I'm forever thankful for the elder at my church who offered that class, and it was absolutely amazing. I recommend it for anybody. Back to the topic, what does your healing journey look like? Are you self-sabotaging? Are you coping with things outside of you? Are you doing are you acting in like reckless behavior because you don't know how to really sit down and heal and allow, yourself to feel those emotions that you need in order to heal? Are you going to therapy? And are you against therapy? I don't know. For me, it was enlightening. It was definitely enlightening. Counseling, whether it's individual, ours was like a group therapy, a group healing care, but it can be extremely helpful in managing emotional aftermath after divorce. Talking to people who have gone through similar traumas, or if not that, but who have certain, uh, you know, different traumas, but who are also in the healing process. It could be, it can be enlightening, you know, to have that emotional validation, and to also to get like insight from other people and things that they've experienced, um, that help them or is helping them in their journey. You can learn from each other, and that's what that group was for me. It was awesome. Um, Another thing I want to kind of touch on is your social life afterwards. You know what I mean? For me, after any breakup, sad to say, I cut people off. Gots to go. No, I'm just playing. I cut people off. I will cut off families. I listen. I don't. I don't want anything to trigger an emotional response. Now, the only thing, um, you know, friends is different, because sometimes you may share the same friend group, right? Or have mutual interest, mutual friends. But one thing that I would suggest is boundaries, right? Um, Making sure that you implement them boundaries and reinforcing them when people don't respect those boundaries. I don't want to hear about Mojo Blow and what they got to say. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially if I'm in the healing process. And if you realize that people aren't respecting that, then that's when it's just time to cut them off or give them some space, right? And but like, developing a new social group is imperative for your healing. I can't explain enough. Oh no, my laptop is about to die. Oh no. I can't stress enough how keeping those relationships with the family, or the friends, that shit can be triggering. You know what I mean? Or seeing that person's face often, can be triggering. It's like having a band-aid or having a scab and ripping off the scab every time it goes to heal. You're not creating an environment to heal. So for me, what I had to do was I had to disconnect from. I learned that at a young age, to disconnect from the things, and people that reminded me of the person that I was trying to heal from. So, but also making sure that, like, you don't isolate, because when you isolate, you can go into a depression. You know, we don't talk about that enough. Um, or the S word, you know, because divorce can be hard depending on the person and their mentality. It can be hard. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that because I didn't isolate. I had friends that, you know, me, I am naturally a loner in a sense. I I enjoy time with myself. I enjoy sitting in my own shit, quote unquote, if that makes sense. So to speak, if that makes sense. When I'm not feeling my best, I don't like to put that on other people. Um, so will I will isolate in a sense, um, to kind of get grounded with myself to figure out, okay, what am I feeling? I've learned that, you know, over the years. So yeah, but make sure you don't isolate to where it's detrimental to you. You know what I mean? Connect with friends, connect with family. Um, like I said, reaching out to supportive people who might understand and can help to rebuild your social network. For me, I had my girlfriends. You know what I mean? And then my girlfriends are also, or were also, a safe space, you know, to share a lot of what I had experienced, things that they didn't know while I was going through it. It was a lot of stuff that I kept to myself just because, you know, you get embarrassed or, you know, one, two, because you're not ready to leave that person and you don't want them to, you know, pick sides, or you don't want them, or you don't want family to like, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of the stuff I kept to myself until I was ready to share it. Um, because at the end of the day, you don't want to see the person that you love hurt, right? But yeah, so and then also for me, my life, like after I left and moved, and you know, I moved into my apartment and things like that with my kids, I started doing yoga, which really helped me a lot. Um and I started doing like breathing techniques and things that I felt like centered me at the time, um, when I needed it the most. You know what I mean? Um, so, kind of picking up new interests, you know, it's common to rediscover old habits or even pursue new interests that were put on hold due to the marriage. Because, like I said, when you are married, you're considering the other person's feelings. So, you might not be able to bust up and go to the gym 7 days a week for 3 hours a day like you used to before you met. You know what I mean? Just because at home you have obligations at home, and or you got somebody else that's like, you really going to the gym, or why you always at the gym, or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? Um, so just making sure, you know, that you rediscover or discover, exploring new interests, investing in yourself with your passions. Like even now, I've been divorced for years, and I've, you know, um, am happily divorced. I have to make sure I say that to people, because every time I mention that I'm divorced, I had a lady the other day was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," and I was like, mm-mm, "I'm happy, girl. I'm happily divorced. I don't need anybody outside of me to define me." You know what I mean? I know exactly who I am. I know exactly what I want. I know exactly what my goals are. I know exactly what I won't settle for. I know exactly what makes me happy and what don't. I know when I'm sad. I know when I need to be left alone, and I'm okay, um, with this aspect of myself. So as far as going back to, you know, exploring new interests, I discovered it is so relaxing to take a canvas and a paintbrush and to allow the strokes and allow the creativity to flow. That is so relaxing to me. I did this one back here. Um, I don't think the video is on my YouTube, but it felt so good to complete it. You know what I mean? And I got another one in my office that is waiting for more to be added to it. But for me, I was able to, along my journey, rediscover or discover new hobbies or things that I enjoyed that actually make me happy. You know what I mean? So, and that's what being separated or being divorced has afforded me, you know? So I encourage anybody who might be going through a divorce or might be thinking about divorce or, you know, who even might be newly single, whatever the case may be, or even just looking for a new hobby. Girl, get a canvas and pick up a paintbrush. Thank me later. Um, so yeah, also being divorced helped me self-reflect. Um, Divorce is an opportunity for self-reflection. I find, or I have found, that I learned a lot about, you know, a lot of valuable life lessons through my divorce or through my experience or through my heartbreak. Like I said, in my marriage, I was able to identify areas of my life that needed to be healed or that needed some love or that needed some, you know, that needed a hug, right? So I encourage anybody who is experiencing, you know, a separation or anything like that, um, to sit with yourself. That's one of my biggest things. I tell my girlfriend, like, listen, any decision that you make in life or that you feel like you need to make or that you're on the brink of making, sit with that shit. If you're thinking about leaving a job, sit with it. Sit with it. You know what I mean? And so I was able to sit with myself and I was able to discover the patterns that led to my marriage and also divorce. And so things that I loved about myself, I was able to work on and strengthen. And things that I did not like about myself, I was able to work on changing. And it didn't happen. It didn't happen overnight. And it still hasn't happened. Because, I mean, some things, let me rephrase that. It didn't happen overnight. And there's some things that are still being cultivated. Like, for instance, you know, my mouth. I can be, but I'm not like disrespectful, you know, um, in a relationship. However, depending on what's happening, it could cut. My tongue can cut. And that's not cute. I don't take pride in saying, oh, no, I don't take pride in that. Mm-mm. I don't like that about myself. So again, I have been working on changing that aspect of myself, you know? Also, as far as, you know, your transformation and your personal growth, I was able to set new goals, right? Um, I went to school after I separated. I did. I went to school and became a registered nurse, and got my associates. And that was a goal of mine, you know. It was one of the things that, you know, made me made me that it does not define me, but it was an accomplishment for me that I appreciated, right? Because I know that if I put my mind to anything, I can do it, you know? So I was able to get my associates, and then I went back and got my bachelor's, and, now I'm just setting new goals. And so that's what getting divorced or that's one thing that helped me, you know what I mean? And so we know that the end of a marriage can bring a chance to rediscover any long-term goals or aspirations or short-term goals, career changes. Like I said, I furthered my education. Oh, and I traveled. One of the things that I'm gonna say, who are like, oh yeah, baby, go ahead, have fun. Here go the ticket. I'll pay for the ticket. Here go some spending money. Blah blah blah. I got the kids. Go, right? But then you got something that's like, what y'all gonna be doing? You know what I mean? Like, their insecurities come up. So yeah, I was able to travel with my girlfriends. What's the spot? Because my best friend lived in Houston. So when I tell you, yes, we was making moves, enjoying it. I was living life. And then also, even for me now, living in Florida, that was one of the things that I wanted to do. Because I was an LPN first, but that was one of the things that I wanted to do before, while I was married. After I became an LPN, was to move. And he was like, I don't want to live nowhere warm. No, I don't want to move. I don't want to. And I was like, so being on my own has allowed me to make the decision to be like, okay, now I get to do what I want for me. Years before getting married and everything, there were other reasons that stopped me from moving. You have to consider the kids. You have to consider, the support system, right? Because here I don't have a support system. It's just me. That was one of the things that I had to consider. Okay, I'm uprooting my life and I'm leaving my support system. Is it something that I'm really ready for? So yeah, that, like I said, being on my own has allowed me to make decisions that made me happy, and I didn't have to consider nobody else's happiness besides the kids. But yeah, I didn't have to consider nobody else's feelings about wanting to be where I wanted to be. Florida is a place that I call home now. You know what I mean? And it's the best decision of my life, and I'm happy that I'm here. And I wouldn't go back, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I wouldn't even go anywhere else, at least that I know for now. This is where this is where I want to retire. I'm home. You know what I mean? So yeah, living in Florida, being on my own has allowed me to make the decisions that I wanted for me. So one of the things I wanted to do that I wrote down is that I wanted to encourage you guys and let you know that healing takes time. You have to have patience and you have to trust the process. There is no time limit for healing after a divorce. Everyone processes their emotions at their own pace. And it is important to be patient with yourself as you navigate through the ups and downs through the transition. What worked for one might not work for the other. What worked for me, cutting people off, might not work for the next person. You might have to have that close relationship with a family member, with their family, or you might have to, it might be okay for you, to see that person on often or even talk to that person on the phone. Me, I don't even want to hear your voice. And it's not because of bitterness. It's just that if I don't have to talk to you, what am I talking to you for? That's not giving me the space to heal. So what worked for you might not work for the other one. And you have to accept the process in another person's journey, right? So with that being said, just because it took me, however many years it took me to get over my first heartbreak, doesn't mean that, it might take the next person 20, right? It might take the next person 20 years to get over that heartbreak. Having that grace for yourself. One day might be good, the next might not be. You know what I mean? You might have that, oh, I wish we were still together feeling, or you might have that what if feeling, or what it could have been in the back of your mind. But, having that grace and giving yourself the grace and, to go through that process is imperative. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was is forgiving, right? And the closure. Forgiveness is not for the other person. That shit is for you. I'm going to say that again. Forgiveness is not for the other person. That shit is for you. Okay? When you forgive whatever happened in the marriage and in the failed marriage and the relationship, that whatever that caused a separation, then you can heal. You can't heal until you let that go. You cannot heal until you let the shit go. But you know what I mean? Some people find it helpful to work towards forgiveness with themselves and even the person. It don't mean that it never happened. It just means that I'm not blaming you for what did happen. It just means that I rather choose peace than to be bitter. It just means that I rather let go than to hold on. Forgiveness only hurt you. It will cause stress in your body. And then you wonder why your pressure is high or why your digestive system is not flowing correctly, why your chakras are unaligned. You know what I mean? Like why your body is not in homeostasis. Forgiveness is for you to let go and to move on. The bitterness will literally eat at your body. I have seen it. I have witnessed it. That shit will rot your bones, can cause arthritis, can cause your hair to fall out, can cause skin issues. And it's just not worth it. And then you are giving away your power when you don't forgive, right? You are giving away your power when you don't forgive. You are still allowing that other person to have control over you emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically. Because physically, you will have elements come up in your body, So I encourage anybody, let go, let God. Even if you feel like you were wronged, God said vengeance is his. So I don't have to wish nothing on anybody. You know what it was. You know what I mean? Like you know what happened. You know how you played me. So, and then closure. One of the things that keep us bound up, and I feel like, and this is just personally my opinion, is the need for closure. Fuck that closure. Let it go. Fuck that closure. Let it go. I get it, and I get why people say, "Oh, I just needed the closure," but what is it gonna do? What is it gonna do for that person to admit, yeah, you know what? I know, I did you wrong. I know I was a shitty husband, or I know that like I played you, or I know that I took advantage of your kindness, or the fact that you were naive, or the fact that you were a good woman. You know what I mean? The fact that whatever, you know, that you were sweet, or whatever the case may be, I know I took advantage of you. What is that going to do for you? For them to hear, I mean, for them to tell you that. What is it doing? You already know that. You already knew it. What is the closure doing for you? The forgiveness, you forgiving them should be the closure that you need. But a lot of us hold on to um, the memory of, you know, what happened or the emotion of what happened. And, you know, or we just want to know why. I don't give a damn about why. I don't care. Thank you. Thank you so much for being exactly what I needed for me to grow. You know what I mean? I forgive everybody who ever hurt me because look at who I am. Look at what came out of it. The mentality that I have, that shit can't be duplicated. That shit can't be bought. My experience cannot be bought. It created the gem that I am today. And I'm so grateful for everything that I went through. I don't care how bad it hurt. I don't care how many tears that dropped. I don't care how bad it was. I don't care about the losses that I experienced during it. I mean, I do, you know, um, but I'm okay. I release it. One of the things that also helped me was to stop talking about it. When you're talking about what happened, when you are constantly talking about what happened, it is literally creating the emotion and the feeling inside and the hormones as if it is happening again. And every time you talk about said thing, it is as if you are reinforcing it, and it is as if you are experiencing that thing over and over and over and over again. I don't want to hear about it. I don't care. It helped me. I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? I am okay with what happened. I don't need to relive it. And I'm not perfect at I'm not perfect at not bringing up or not talking about what I've experienced, especially when, you know, it's just conversation, or especially when I am trying to encourage someone else through what they might be experiencing. I have a habit of saying, you know, like, well, yeah, because this is what I experienced and this is, you know, what happened and this is how I got through it. But I don't long to, or I don't make it a point to sit in that emotion that caused or that I experienced, because my ultimate goal is to heal. Stop bringing that shit up. Stop talking about it. Let it go. Let it go. It was for your highest and greatest good. Let it go. Okay? Um, Another thing that I wanted to just like talk about that helped me um was the rebuilding of my life, right? I talked about the breakdown and everything that went wrong, and everything, who I became after. But let's talk about the rebuilding. Initially, most people, they're not really wanting to like relocate, especially if you have children and things like that. But for me, it was the greatest gift that I could have ever had, because I didn't have to sit in the memory of what happened. And I feel like for me, now that I look back, that's been one of the greatest gifts every time. I've only been married once, but every time I've experienced a loss, changing locations has always been hindsight has always been one of the greatest gifts that life has ever given me, because I don't have to sit in that memory. So moving to a new place, or even redecorating or adjusting the home, it gave me a new start. It opened the door for a new start. And with that, I was able to build a new life, even now, which I moved to Florida just because I wanted to. I talked about that on my last live. People ask me all the time, well, why did you move to Florida? Because I just wanted to. Because I wanted to. Because I always wanted to. Not Florida, but I wanted to go to Texas, but I always wanted to live somewhere warm. And somewhere down south. I just feel like I was always called to live down south. I always have been. And for me, Florida just feels like home, So for me, moving to Florida was something that I wanted to do. However, for people who, are recently going through some sort of separation, release what was and embrace what is. Move. Let that shit go. Don't hold on to what don't serve you. Let go of what no longer serves you. The environment, the people, the hangouts, change it up. One of the things that that worked for me was definitely changing up my hangouts. You know what I mean? But also in my experience, when I had my heart broken, I'll say it was kind of difficult because I was, friends with a family member of the person, that I was separated or getting, had quit talking to, or whatever the case may be. And so that made it kind of difficult, because then I would always hear things. I'll just say that. Anyway, but again, going back to set those boundaries. Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you not do this? Or can you let me know when, it's a good time to come over or show up? And if not, then just kind of give me a heads up, things like that. I don't want to hear about blow, Joe, and smoke. No disrespect, no bitterness, no nothing. But this is what I need for my healing journey. I cannot sit in the space of the hurt. I don't want to. I literally want to be happy every day. You know what I mean? So I think that kind of prolonged my healing journey when it came to that aspect. Just because of that connection. But it eventually came. And, it was long overdue, and it was absolutely freeing. It was so freeing, to be able to look at what hurt you in the face or in the eye and be okay. You know what I mean? Like, be okay. That's when you know. That's how I knew. You know what I mean? Like, with anything, any experience, to be able to look at what hurt you, or what, I'll speak for myself, to be able to look at what hurt me and not have an emotional trigger, that's when I knew that I healed. So I encourage that for you, or whoever come back and listen to this live. Take that time. Take the time. Take the time. For me, I talked about how I cut people off. No, I'm just playing. I talk how I cut people off, but with that situation, there was a lot of love with the family member, so I did not sever ties, because that there was a connection there, but there was a boundary that had to be placed also. You know what I mean? But yes, when a boundary, or that boundary was not respected, then you have to make a decision and say, okay, I got to create distance. And so, that's what have to happen. I encourage anybody who may have or may be experiencing that, I encourage you, to, if anything, create a boundary. Because in reality, you can't just go around cutting everybody the fuck off. You know what I mean? Not me, because everybody get cut off. No, just playing. You can't just go around cutting everybody off. Depending on the circumstance, I have. But depending on the circumstance, you don't want to, right? Especially if you created lovingly healthy relationships. So I just want to, let you guys know, or encourage you guys, if you are experiencing, or if you have experienced that was one of the things that worked for me. So I got some things that I wanted to leave you guys with. One, it is okay to grieve. It is okay to grieve. It is okay to feel. It is okay to be angry. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be bitter. It's okay to cry. And don't let nobody tell you how long it's supposed to take. You know what I mean? Don't let nobody tell you, oh, okay, well, it's been, baby, I think it took me 7 years. I think. I don't know. And I don't really care to go back and count. But I really feel like it took me like 6 or 7 years. Not for the divorce. Oh, that shit. I'm happily divorced. But in the separation that I experienced when my feelings was hurt, it literally took me years to heal. It literally took years. So don't let nobody tell you how long your grief is supposed to last. Okay? Acknowledge the emotional challenge and give yourself time to heal. So the second takeaway that I want to leave you with is focus on your self-care. Focus on yourself. Whatever that look like for you. If you feel like, you know what, this is my time to get back in the gym and lose some weight, do it. If you feel like, okay, I want to start getting my nails did, do it. If you feel like I want to start getting my hair did, I don't let nobody touch my hair. I do my own hair. But if you feel like I want to, start getting my hair done, do it. If you feel like I want to, go buy some new clothes, do that. If you feel like I want to work, get a new degree, do it. I got 2 of them. I got 2 of them. If you feel like, and counting, 2 and counting. If you feel like you want to move to a whole nother country or to a whole nother state, do it. whatever that stuff, you want to plant a garden, you want to, you know, buy a dog. I got a dog. You know what I mean? Like if you feel like you want to, whatever you want to do that's going to promote that emotional wellness in your life, do that, you know. Prioritize your mental health, your physical well-being, whether you go to therapy, whether you exercise, or you engage in activities that nurture you. That's very important. And then the last takeaway that I want to leave you with, embrace that. Embrace your new beginning. Just because there is an ending does not mean that God won't give you a new beginning. Every time a door closes, another one opens. You know what I mean? And another one can't open until you shut the door to that last one. You know what I mean? And just because the door opened, don't mean that you just stand there and look through it. You got to walk through that door. You have to walk through it. So embrace that new beginning. Although it may not feel good initially, it can be a gateway. A divorce can be a gateway to personal transformation, new opportunities, and new growth. You don't know what's on the other side of that. You don't know what's on the other side of that new beginning. You don't know what's on the other side of that door unless you walk through it. You know what I mean? So stop holding on to what no longer serves you. Don't hold on to what don't serve you. I feel like this message was kind of all over the place. I don't know. Like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me know what I can do to kind of help you guys follow along better. But yeah, you don't know what's on the other side of that door unless you walk through it. You know what I mean? So don't be afraid to walk through it. Have the strength. You know what I mean? To walk through and embrace the journey and the gift of said divorce or, said new beginning. I don't know where my life would be if I was still married. I don't know where I would be if I was still married. Right? Especially because, that marriage wasn't serving either one of us. We were completely different people in the marriage. So I don't know where I would be. I don't know if I would even be a nurse. I don't even know if I would be in Florida. I don't even know if I would have this emotional intelligence if I hadn't went through that divorce. Don't let fear stop you. Don't let fear of the unknown stop you. You know what I mean? Don't let the fear of what is new stop you. I am forever grateful and forever changed from just by the things that God allowed me to go through. It wasn't for my breaking, it was for my making. It helped me to become everything that I am today. And it is helping me to become everything that I will be tomorrow and the next day and the next day. Right? Other things that I want to share, I feel like, that might help is journaling. Journal your feelings. Journal your feelings. Get that shit out, right? Because people might not want to hear you talk about how you feel. People might not want to hear you talk about, what hurt you. Or also, for instance, I'm a person, I'm that friend. I'm a great listener, right? I'm a wonderful listener. I'm a wonderful friend. I don't want to keep talking about the same thing. I am a Virgo. So When you come to me with a thing, my mind is like, okay, well, what can we do to make it better? Bam. Result. Bam. What can we do to, not feel this? You know what I mean? Like, what can we do to help you grow? Here's some things that I did. Maybe you should try. Here are some affirmations that work for me. Maybe you should do it. I am a problem solving oriented person. I don't want to keep hearing about your problem. I'm going to give you a solution to fix it. So let's fix it. Let's fix it. I don't like to dwell in the past, So with that being said, people might not want to, they might listen a couple times. However, one of the things that helped me is journaling. My journal's not here. I was actually just looking for it. One of the things that helped me was journaling. My feelings, even things about, things that I wasn't sure about, or things that came up in just my day-to-day life, not even necessarily like relationship wise or anything like that, just my day-to-day. It helped because, again, people got their own shit going on. You know what I mean? So, and you can't expect people to stop and drop at your every call because, again, we all have lives. So that was one of the things that helped me when I knew, that my circle or my friends or my sisters, also were dealing with their own shit. I journal. You know what I mean? So that's one of the things that I can tell you that maybe you should try. And also podcasts. Check out my podcast. The link is somewhere on my YouTube. That was like therapy for me. That was definitely therapy for me, was my podcast. Getting it out. Again, I wasn't writing it, but I was speaking it. It was another form of journaling. Now, I can actually go back, which I don't go back because once I got it out, I left it there. But it could possibly help somebody else. So share your story in a way that's going to empower people. I encourage that. Not in a way of blaming or holding on to or reminiscing or sitting in that memory of what happened. Okay. I also found this dope card that I in one of my books that I was gifted. It said, "You are the CEO of your life. Hire, fire, and promote accordingly." And the back of it says, "Take charge of your relationships. Who are the most inspiring people in your life? Write down 5 names and schedule a meeting or power lunch with them, period." One of the things that I take with me, I learned a couple years ago, and I take it with me, and I share it with my girlfriend now. You are the sum of the 5 most people you are spending your time with. Choose them motherfuckers wisely. Sorry, excuse my French. They will make or break your growth, okay? You cannot be around still people. Still bitter, still angry, still broken, still mad, still ugly spirited. You cannot be around still people and expect to grow and blossom and bloom. Them people will hold you back. So you are the CEO of your life. Hire, fire, and promote accordingly. Get around some people who are uplifting, who are nurturing, who are pouring into you mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Get around them people. And if them people are not supporting your growth, then you know what to do. You know what to do. but you got this. I don't know who this message is for. I don't know why I was called to even upload a video or go live about life after divorce. But you got this. You'll be all right. It happens. And guess what? You're not going to be the only one. You're not the last one that's going to ever go through a divorce. You're not the first, and you damn sure won't be the last. I hate to say it. Sad to say. People grow. People grow. People evolve. People bloom. People bloom. You know what I mean? And relationships die. It was still beautiful, but it served its purpose. Okay. So, with that being said, I hope you guys have an amazing, beautiful Sunday. I just wanted to hop on and spread some love, spread some words of wisdom. I don't know. And give a word of encouragement. You got this. You'll be all right. You got this, sis. Fix your crown. Hold your head up. Be resilient. Okay? Love you. Bye. Mm-hmm.